Peter Watkins, you stand indicted with rape, contrary to Section 10 of the Sexual Offenders Act 1956, and the particulars are that on the 2nd day of August last, you had sexual intercourse with Joyce Roberts without her consent. How say you, Peter Watkins? Are you guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Patricia Marshall.
Challenge.
Lucy Smith.
Challenge.
Those are the facts, members of the jury. I will now call the evidence for the Crown.
Mrs. Montgomery, before you call your first witness...
Yes, my lord.
I observe you've made no attempt to conceal the identity of the prosecutrix. Now, if you had asked me, I would, subject to any representations by Mr. Elliot, have directed that her name should not be mentioned or published. Is there any particular reason why you haven't made that request?
I entirely agree with your lordship's views concerning the need to protect the identity of an alleged victim in a rape trial. However, I am instructed that Mrs. Roberts particularly requested that no such application be made on her behalf. I shall be calling her to give evidence, and no doubt she will explain why she made that request.
Whoa. Yeah. Yes, Mrs. Montgomery.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I'm a registered medical practitioner and a member of the Police Surgeons Association.
Dr. Linger, on the night of August the 2nd last, did you receive a call from Fulchester Police requesting you to examine a Mrs. Joyce Roberts?
Yes, I did. Prior to my examination, I read the statements which Mrs. Roberts and Miss Peters had made to the police.
Miss Peters?
A friend of Mrs. Roberts, my lord. She accompanied her to the police station, and I shall be calling her to give evidence.
Before beginning my examination, I questioned Mrs. Roberts in relation to her medical history.
To what purpose, Doctor?
To establish if, prior to the alleged attack, she had recently had sexual intercourse, to ascertain if she'd recently had an abortion. Facts that would have a bearing on her present physical condition at the time of my examination.
Yes, and if she had recently had an abortion or sexual intercourse, this might account for what you were going to find in your examination, bruising and so forth.
Precisely, my lord.
And the information you received on those two matters was in the negative?
It was.
And what did you find upon examination, Doctor?
I found clear evidence of recent sexual intercourse.
How recent?
Within the previous 4 hours. The results of subsequent tests confirmed this conclusion.
And what exactly were those tests, Doctor?
Chemical tests on the clothing, medical tests, one internal, one external, blood and saliva tests, and the taking of hair samples.
So, less than 4 hours after the alleged rape, Mrs. Roberts was subjected to internal and external medical examinations, blood and saliva tests, and the taking of hair samples.
Yes.
How would you describe Mrs. Roberts' mental disposition at the time of your examination, Doctor?
She was very cooperative. She was very calm, very quiet. Initially, that was. Towards the end of my examination, she broke down, wept hysterically. I was obliged to give her a sedative to calm her before I could complete my examination.
I understand that later that night, you examined the accused, Peter Watkins.
Yes, I did. I took blood, saliva, and hair samples. These were sent to a forensic laboratory for various tests.
Do you have the result of those tests?
Yes, I have.
What are your conclusions?
There is no doubt whatsoever that in the 4 hours preceding my examination of Mrs. Roberts, the accused, Peter Watkins, had had sexual intercourse with her.
Thank you, Doctor.
Dr. Linger, you described the mental disposition of Mrs. Roberts at the time of your examination as being very cooperative, very calm, and quiet.
Yes, that is correct. Initially, I believe I said.
And this examination took place less than 4 hours after the alleged assault.
Yes.
And yet you found her cooperative, calm, and quiet.
Yes, I did. I would like to add, however...
Thank you, Doctor. I require no addition.
Mr. Elliot, the doctor is an expert witness. If he wants to qualify his evidence or add to it, you must let him.
Yes, of course, Madam.
What did you want to say, Doctor?
The fact that Mrs. Roberts was initially calm and in total control is not at all unusual. It's very common in a rape victim to be in that condition shortly after an attack. Often they are immediately hysterical, but often, as in the case of Mrs. Roberts, they are calm, almost supernaturally calm. But this calmness is very deceptive and invariably masks a state of shock.
So the apparent calmness would, in your opinion, mask a deep trauma?
Almost invariably, my lord. Well, it's been my experience in the last 20 years that the psychological damage inflicted on a woman who has been raped usually far outweighs any temporary physical damage.
Yes.
Well, if we might for the moment, Doctor, confine ourselves to the physical damage. Now, the defence accepts that you found conclusive evidence that Watkins and Mrs. Roberts had had sexual intercourse. But did you find any evidence that she was raped? Were there any bruises?
No, there were not.
Were there any marks of violence whatsoever upon her body?
No, there were not.
Any signs that she'd been partially asphyxiated with a pillow?
No.
Or that a knife had been held against her throat? Any signs like that?
No, there were not.
So, in your expert opinion, you cannot say categorically that she was raped?
No.
Thank you, Doctor.
With regard to the question my learned friend asked concerning any marks or signs that Mrs. Roberts had been partially asphyxiated by a pillow, you found no medical evidence of this. Would you have expected to have done so?
No, I wouldn't. Unless she'd been killed in this manner. Any discoloration caused by partial asphyxiation would rapidly vanish once the lady regained consciousness.
Thank you, Doctor. So, Chief Inspector, you went to Mrs. Roberts' house, and no doubt you interviewed various people. Did you do anything else?
Yes, I searched the house. I found 6 steak knives.
And where were they?
5 of the knives were in a kitchen drawer. Subsequent forensic tests established that they were clean.
Clean?
They bore no fingerprints, my lord.
You said you took away 6 knives, Chief Inspector.
Yes, the 6th knife was found under a table in the dining room. Subsequent forensic tests established that it bore the fingerprints of the accused, Peter Watkins.
Were there anyone else's fingerprints on that knife?
No, just Watkins.
May the witness be shown the knife?
Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
Exhibit 4.
Yes, my lord.
May I see it? The jury may see that.
Later that night, did you go to the accused's house?
Yes, it took him some 10 or 15 minutes to come to the door. He'd apparently been asleep.
Did you question him about Mrs. Roberts?
I didn't. I asked him if he'd been at the party that evening at the home of Mrs. Roberts. He said that he had. I told him that Mrs. Roberts had alleged that he had raped her during the course of that party. He said, "I don't know what you're talking about. I never went near her all night."
He didn't say she consented. He said he never went near her all night.
That's so. At first. After further questioning, he said, "Well, all right, so what if we did have it off? That's not a crime, is it?" I then asked him to accompany me to Fulchester police station to make a statement. He then became truculent and refused to go. He made an attempt to attack me and had to be restrained. He calmed down. A short while later, he agreed to accompany me to the police station. At the station, I cautioned him. He said that he wanted to make a statement. I then formally cautioned him again, and he then made a statement.
And do you produce that statement, Exhibit 2?
Yes, ma'am.
Who took it down?
I did, ma'am.
Will you read it out after the caution?
I was invited to a party at the home of Mrs. Roberts. My mate Bernard Chapman invited me. Mrs. Roberts is his girlfriend. During the course of the evening, she kept giving me the come-on. It was obvious that she fancied me. Later in the evening, she got hold of me on the landing upstairs and took me into a bedroom. We made love. She went to sleep when we'd finished. I got dressed and a short while later left the party. I never raped her. She was agreeable to everything that happened. I then wrote this statement as been read to me and is true, and he signed it. In view of the fact that he made no mention of the steak knife during the statement, I questioned him about it, and he said, "I never touched any steak knife, and I never threatened her with any knife." A short while later, he was charged with raping Mrs. Roberts, and he said, "I've been framed."
Thank you, Chief Inspector.
Inspector, I want to deal initially with your visit to the home of the accused on August the 2nd last.
Yes.
Now, you've stated that the accused took some time to answer the door because he was asleep.
He'd apparently been asleep, sir. He told me he had. He was bleary-eyed and wearing a bathrobe.
Yes. And at what time would this be in the morning, Inspector?
It was shortly after 3:30 a.m., sir.
3:30 in the morning. Well, I doubt that many people would take kindly to being awakened at such an hour, Inspector.
Well, I think that would depend on the circumstances, sir.
Yes, I agree with you, Inspector. Here was the accused, one moment fast asleep, and the next being accused of rape.
Well, I was not obliged to tell him at that time why I was questioning him, sir. It was precisely because we'd woken him up in the middle of the night that I considered it proper to advise him why.
I put it to you, Inspector, that far from being concerned about the sensibilities of the accused, your manner from the moment you entered the premises was one of marked hostility, and that shortly after gaining admittance, you insulted the accused by calling him a bloody wild animal and a filthy bastard.
No, that is entirely untrue.
And then you struck him.
No, the only violence that occurred during the course of the questioning came from the accused. He tried to hit me and had to be restrained by Detective Sergeant Wilson.
Well, it's hardly surprising that he tried to hit you after you hit him, is it, Inspector?
I did not hit him.
Inspector, we take no issue with your statement. My client accepts that it is entirely accurate. I would like, however, to ask you one or two questions about the conversation that took place between you and the accused immediately after he had made that statement.
Yes?
You questioned him about the steak knife?
I did, yes.
Now, is it not a fact that he said to you, "I don't remember touching any steak knife"?
No, sir. He said, "I never touched any steak knife, and I never threatened her with any knife."
You're absolutely sure about that?
Yes, I am absolutely sure. Those were his exact words. I wrote them down at the time.
And a short while later, after he was charged, he said, "I've been framed"?
That's correct, yes.
Now, did he not say something to the effect that he felt he had been framed by Mrs. Roberts?
No, sir, he did not. He did not elaborate on that remark.
Chief Inspector, what became of the clothes that Mrs. Roberts was wearing at the party?
Well, she arrived at the station wearing the same clothes, sir. They were removed from her at that time for forensic tests, and later they were returned to Fulchester Police Station.
Now, although my instructing solicitors agreed the forensic evidence, I did ask that the clothes should be available. Are they in court?
They are, sir, yes.
And may these be exhibited, my lord, so the jury may have the opportunity of examining them. Also, I shall cross-examine Mrs. Roberts about them.
They'll become Exhibit 5.
My lord. Just for the record, Chief Inspector, perhaps you'd list those clothes.
Yes, sir. One lady's flower pattern dress, one pair of panties, one pair of ladies' beige shoes.
Is that all, Inspector?
Yes, sir, that's all.
Well, the brassiere. What about the brassiere?
Well, I understand that Mrs. Roberts was not wearing a brassiere at the party, sir.
No brassiere. I see. Thank you.
Chief Inspector, my learned friend made certain allegations concerning the use of violence on the accused. Is there any truth in these allegations?
No, they're entirely untrue. At no time was any violence used upon the accused, except that used by Detective Sergeant Wilson to restrain the accused.
To prevent him from hitting you?
Yes, ma'am.
Of course, it's not unusual for an accused man to allege that he's been the victim of police violence, particularly when the accused has used such violence on the police.
No, ma'am, in such circumstances it is not unusual.
Thank you very much, Chief Inspector.
I first met Watkins professionally.
Could you explain?
Yes. As an advertising executive, I have occasion from time to time to employ freelance commercial artists. Watkins was a commercial artist. I used him from time to time.
And a friendship developed?
Yes, we'd go for a drink together, that sort of thing.
Had you met Mrs. Roberts prior to the night in question?
Yes, a couple of times.
I would like to establish the exact nature of your relationship with Mrs. Roberts. How long have you known her, Mr. Chapman?
Just over a year.
I understand that when she's obtained her divorce, you intend to marry her.
Yes, I do.
Well, so that at the moment Mrs. Roberts is married to another man. Eh, Mrs. Montgomery?
Yes, my lord. She is legally separated from her husband and is in the process of obtaining a divorce.
Yes, thank you.
Would you describe the nature of your relationship with Mrs. Roberts as stable?
Yes, I would. We love each other very much.
Now, I'd like to come to the night of August the 2nd last, the night of the party. Now, during the course of the evening, did the accused make any particular remarks to you concerning Mrs. Roberts?
Yes, I remember he came up to me when everybody was dancing, and he told me he thought I was a lucky man.
Did he tell you why he thought that?
Yes, because Joyce is my girlfriend.
Did he say anything else?
Yes, he said, I wish I had a girlfriend like that. She's very tasty.
Very tasty? What was your reaction to that?
I thought it was his way of passing a compliment. I simply laughed and said, thank you very much.
Was there any further conversation between you and the accused concerning Mrs. Roberts?
Not that I can recall. There might have been the odd remark in a similar vein. I honestly don't remember. I was very busy serving drinks to people at the time.
Was it a good party, Mr. Chapman?
I believe so. Everybody seemed to be enjoying themselves. They were laughing, joking, talking, singing, and... That is until...
Yes, now I want to come to that. I understand that you and Miss Peters discovered Mrs. Roberts in the guest room.
Yes, that's right.
Prior to that discovery, were you aware that she was absent from the main party?
No, I was not.
Were you aware that Watkins was missing from the main party?
No, I was not.
And would you tell the court of the events that led up to the discovery of Mrs. Roberts?
Yes, a couple of people were leaving the party earlier than the rest of us, and Jean, Miss Peters and I went to fetch their coats.
And where exactly were their coats?
They were in the guest room. All the coats were in there.
Was the door to the guest room open?
No, it was locked from the outside. I unlocked the door and went in. Mrs. Roberts was on the bed, on top of all the coats and jackets.
And how was she dressed?
She wasn't. She was naked.
And what did you do?
I spoke to her. I asked her if she was all right, but she didn't answer. She was unconscious.
Was she just sleeping?
No, we tried to rouse her, but we couldn't.
Can you remember if her head was on the pillow?
Yes, her head was on one pillow, and there was another pillow on the floor. I held Mrs. Roberts while Mrs. Peter tried to bring her round. When she came round, she said she'd been raped by Peter Watkins.
And what did you do?
I lost my temper. I went downstairs to look for Watkins, but he wasn't there. He'd gone. So I was going to go after him, but Miss Peters stopped me. She said it would be better to go to the police.
What then happened?
Miss Peters helped Mrs. Roberts to get dressed, and then she drove her to Fulchester police station. I stayed at the house until the police came.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chapman.
Are you and Mrs. Roberts lovers?
Really?
I'm not on trial here. Neither is Mrs. Roberts. That little bastard over there, he's the one that's on trial.
Mr. Chapman, you must try to restrain yourself. I will not have outbursts of that kind in my court.
Much as I lament Mr. Chapman's outburst, my lord, I believe the point he makes is valid. I fail to see what his private life has to do with this case.
My lord, it is a well-established fact that the defense may, in a case involving rape, examine the morals of the alleged victim. I was merely following that line of procedure.
Yes, we will.
Sure. Are you and Mrs. Roberts lovers?
Yes.
Now, you've told the court, Mr. Chapman, that when Mrs. Roberts regained consciousness, as a result of what she said to you, you lost your temper. Do you often lose your temper?
Depends what you mean by often. I lose it from time to time, yes.
Indeed, the court has just witnessed an example of you losing your temper, has it not? In any event, when you found Mrs. Roberts and she spoke to you, you lost your temper.
Yes, that's right.
With Mrs. Roberts?
No. With him, the man I thought was my friend.
Did you accuse Mrs. Roberts of being a willing party to what had transpired?
No, of course not.
But did you not for a moment think that that was the cause, when you first found her lying there naked?
No.
Really? Well, what do you think she'd been doing?
I had no idea.
Mr. Chapman, during the course of the party, how much did you have to drink?
I'd had a few drinks.
A few too many, perhaps.
I was too busy serving everybody else to have more than a few drinks.
Mr. Chapman, the fact is you were drunk, so drunk that you didn't notice the absence of either Watkins or your girlfriend.
I was too busy to notice their absence.
Is it not a fact that the reason you did not accompany the two women to the Fulchester police station was because you were incapable of going anywhere?
I was too angry. I realized that if I went to the police station, I might lose my temper, and that wouldn't help anybody, least of all Mrs. Roberts.
Well, reverting back to their absence from the party, Could it be that, in fact, you did notice their absence, and not only did it not surprise you, but you expected it?
I expected it.
Yes, expected it. After all, did you not arrange it? Remember your conversation earlier with Peter Watkins. Now, you've told us how he complimented you on having Mrs. Roberts as a girlfriend.
Yes, that's right.
And did you not then entice him with her charms? You told him how good she was in bed and that Joyce Roberts fancied him and that you didn't mind if they went to bed together and that Mrs. Roberts might put up a pretense of not wanting to know, but that in fact she wanted to know very much.
You're accusing me of enticing that animal to rape the woman I'm going to marry?
No, not rape, Mr. Chapman. Of inciting him to make love. Have sex with her, call it what you will.
Is that what he told you, I said?
No, what he told me is not at issue, Mr. Chapman. What you told him is.
Women aren't objects. They're not something you pass around amongst your male friends. Good God, man, you're talking about the woman I'm going to marry, not my pet retriever.
Do you deny that you said those things to Watkins?
Yes, I deny it.
Mr. Chapman, thank you for your help.
Mr. Chapman? Mr. Chapman?
I'm sorry.
It's all right, Mr. Chapman. My learned friend has seen fit to raise certain allegations. I must also question you about them.
Yes, I understand that.
Now, it has been alleged that you incited the accused to make a sexual attack on Mrs. Roberts by saying that she desired him. That although she might put up a show of resistance, she was in fact eager to make love to him. I'd like you to describe her condition after she regained consciousness.
She was in a state of shock. She wouldn't let Jean Peters leave her side. She was petrified. And as she was telling us what had happened, she became nauseous and was sick.
Sick?
She vomited.
Hardly the actions of someone who's just enjoyed a sexual encounter.
With respect, my lord, my learned friend will have the opportunity to comment on the evidence during her closing speech. I would be obliged if she would refrain from such comment until then.
If my remark has offended my learned friend's conception of the legal niceties, I withdraw it, my lord.
It's not a question of legal niceties, my lord. It's simply self-indulgence.
It isn't my self-indulgence that's on trial here, but your client's.
Mrs. Montgomery, Mr. Elliot, that will be enough of acrimony. I realize that in a case of this nature, feelings and emotions are apt to run very high. But justice will be best served by self-control, yes?
Thank you, my lord.
Mr. Chapman, it has also been alleged that you told the accused you'd be quite happy about him making love to Mrs. Roberts. Would you tell me again your reaction upon discovering what had happened?
I lost my temper. I felt like killing him. I just wanted to give him a damn good hiding.
Finally, Mr. Chapman, have you ever suggested to any man that he could or should make love to Mrs. Roberts?
It's unthinkable. The very proposition it's obscene.
The jury in this case is composed of members of the general public. The Queen against Watkins will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court. Peter Watkins has been charged with raping Mrs. Joyce Roberts at a party she gave with her fiancé, Bernard Chapman. Mrs. Roberts' friend, Jean Peters, is the next witness.
Now, Miss Peters, prior to your discovery of Mrs. Roberts, how would you describe the party?
It was good. It always is when Bernard is the host. He works hard to make sure everybody's enjoying himself.
During the evening, did you become aware that Mrs. Roberts and Watkins were missing from the main body of the party?
Well, I missed Joyce, but I didn't attach anything to it, not until I went upstairs.
Well, I'll come to that in a minute. Now, what about Peter Watkins? Did you notice he was absent?
No.
Now, coming to the time that you and Mr. Chapman went to the guest room to collect some coats, Was the door to the guest room open?
No, it was locked. Bernard unlocked it, and we went in. Joyce, Mrs. Roberts, was sprawled out on the bed without any clothes on. Bernard spoke to her, asked if she's all right, but she didn't answer. I was frightened. You see, I knew she just hadn't passed out. Joyce doesn't drink. I thought she had an attack of some kind. After a while, she came round. Then she told us she was raped by Watkins.
And what did you do?
I told her we must go to the police station immediately. I helped her to get dressed. Then I drove her to Fulchester Police Station.
I understand that you remained at the station with her, Miss Peters.
Yes, yes. Well, I wouldn't have left her alone anyway, but she kept asking me to stay close to her, not to leave her alone.
Would you describe Mrs. Roberts' behavior after she regained consciousness?
Well, she seemed dazed, talking quietly as if her mind was miles away. Then she began to talk more quickly. Then she was sick.
Thank you, Miss Peters.
Miss Peters, so the suggestion to go to the police was yours?
Yes.
Why? Why, Miss Peters?
It seemed the obvious thing to do.
You've stated that you found your friend unconscious. Then why not call an ambulance? If you thought your friend was ill, then presumably she was in need of medical attention.
Yes, she was.
And yet you insisted she go to the police station. And why get Mrs. Roberts to get dressed and drive what is it? It's 3 miles to the Fulchester police station instead of phoning a doctor?
It seemed the right thing to do. A crime had been committed.
Now, Miss Peters, we are all here to decide whether or not a crime was committed.
But I simply thought the fact that Mrs. Roberts had been raped should be reported straight away.
His lordship has just told you that that is what we are here to ascertain. So you took over, did you? You organised things.
I was just trying to help.
Could it be that by organising matters in the way you did, you were thinking not of what was best for Mrs. Roberts, but what was best for you?
I don't understand.
Don't you, Miss Peters? You danced with Watkins earlier, correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And what happened?
He got fresh.
Fresh?
Yes, I had to tell him to keep his hands to himself.
Well, what exactly did he do?
He touched me on the breasts, and then he tried to undo my bra at the back. I told him if he didn't behave, I'd slap his face.
And what was his reaction?
He said something about there being plenty more fish in the sea, and I said in that case he should go and jump in the ocean.
Precisely. And having discovered Mrs. Roberts in compromising circumstances, you had a wonderful opportunity to get back at Watkins, did you not?
It wasn't like that at all.
But you were angry with Watkins.
Yes, I was.
Yes.
Furious, in fact, but not because he made a pass at me. If you'd seen what he did to Joyce, you would have been angry too.
Thank you, Miss Peters.
Now, Mrs. Roberts, are you employed?
Yes, I am a social worker in the West Lane Division in Fulchester.
And how long have you been employed in that capacity?
Nearly 9 years.
Mrs. Roberts, His Lordship raised a question at the beginning of this trial that you may be able to help us with. I was advised that you made a particular point of requesting that I should not ask the court for your name to be withheld. Now, why was that?
Nearly 20 people were present at my house when I was raped, and they all knew what had happened. When I got back to work the following week, it seemed that everybody I knew had been told what had happened. By the time of the magistrate's hearing, half of Fulchester knew. It makes a request to keep my name secret rather pointless.
Yes.
Now, coming directly to the evening of August the 2nd, the evening of your party, I'd like to ask you about any conversations you had with the accused during the earlier part of the evening.
Well, at one point, he came up and took me aside and said he had a personal problem that he would like to discuss with me.
Did he elaborate?
Yes, he said it was about getting a council flat and he'd like my professional advice.
You mean in your capacity as a social worker?
Yes, my lord.
Do you often get people asking your professional advice on a social occasion?
I'm afraid I do, my lord. I think it's rather like being a doctor. People think you're permanently on duty.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Roberts.
What did you say to him?
Oh, I was busy at the time preparing some food, so I said perhaps we could have a chat later on.
Did he accept that?
Yes, he went back and resumed dancing.
Dancing? Was he dancing prior to this conversation?
Yes, he was.
With Miss Peters?
Oh, yes, I think it was with Jean, but she'd gone off somewhere.
Thank you. Now, Mrs. Roberts, I'd like you to tell me what transpired later in the evening, upstairs. Now, I'd like you to tell me everything that happened, in your own words. Take your time.
Later in the evening, I came out of my bathroom upstairs and he was waiting for me. He reminded me that I'd promised to talk to him about his problem and asked if there was anywhere private. I said I would just go downstairs and get the key to my study and we could talk in there.
Why do you keep your study door locked?
I keep casework papers in there, confidential reports on clients. Watkins said, there's no need to go to that trouble. It won't take a moment. Couldn't we go in there? And he pointed to my guest room. So we went in, and then he produced the key of the guest room and locked the door from the inside.
And where is the key normally kept?
In the lock on the outside. I don't trouble to lock any rooms except my study.
What happened after he'd locked the door?
He grabbed hold of me and tried to kiss me.
And what did you do?
I pulled away from him, told him not to be so silly and to open the door. He refused. Then he put the key back into his pocket and pulled out a knife, one of my steak knives. He said, I'm going to kill you unless you let me make love to you. And then he grabbed me by the arm and tried to kiss me again. I shouted at him this time, told him not to be so bloody silly, and I got across to the door and tried to open it. I'd forgotten that he locked it. And then I banged on the door and shouted for help. He hit me across the face, and the blow sent me across the room, and I fell onto the bed that had the coats and the jackets on it. I got up as quickly as I could, but he was quicker, and he was standing right beside me with the knife pointed at my cheek, and he ordered me to take my clothes off. I refused, and then he drew back the knife as if he was going to slash my face, and I put up my hands to protect myself, and then he ordered me again to take off my clothes. He was just standing there, poised with that knife, and I remember thinking, my God, he's going to cut my throat, so I took off my dress. Then he ordered me to take off my shoes and my panties, and I did so. And then he told me to get onto the bed. I tried to reason with him, but he didn't seem to hear me. He just stared at my body. I stood there for a moment, and then he waved the knife at me again and ordered me to get onto the bed. I did so. Then he took off his jacket, holding that knife all the time. And then he unzipped his trousers and got on the bed beside me and began to caress me. I pleaded with him to help, but he just ignored me. He didn't seem to hear me, and I said to him again, stop, please stop. And he just said, shut up and don't bother me. So I screamed out for help, but it was useless. The noise of the music, people talking and dancing downstairs, nobody could hear me. I remember I couldn't quite grasp the fact that this was actually happening, that this man was using my body against my will in my own home while a few feet below my friends were drinking and dancing.
Mrs. Roberts, I know it's very difficult for you, but you must try to speak up clearly. Would you go on?
When he moved to get on top of me, I tried to get off the bed, but he put the knife against my throat. I could feel it, and he said, do that again, and I'll use this. I didn't scream out anymore after that. I was too frightened. But I kept saying to him, stop, please stop. My talking seemed to irritate him, as if I was distracting him. So he got a pillow and he put it over my face. I struggled, but he was too strong. He was still on top of me, using my body. And then I passed out.
And what was the next thing you remembered?
Bernard was holding me, and Jean Peters was shaking me and trying to get me to drink a glass of water. And then the whole room was full of people.
And what did you then do?
I told Bernard and Jean what had happened. I remember that as I told them, I was sick. I felt so disgusted, so dirty, and it wasn't the kind of dirt that I could wash out. I still feel that.
And after you told them what had happened?
I can't remember the exact sequence of events. Bernard was angry and wanted to go after Watkins. People were milling about trying to help. Jean was helping me to get dressed. I was shaking so much I couldn't do it myself. And then I went to the police station.
Mrs. Roberts, did you at any time consent to what happened? Did you at any time tell him that you desired him?
No, I did not consent. He raped me.
You have told the court in great detail, Mrs. Roberts, about what took place in your guest room. How you say you were hit, how you were threatened, how you say a knife was brandished at you, how you were ordered to strip, and then how you say you were raped by the defendant, Peter Watkins. How did you put it? That he was using your body against your will in your own home, while only a few feet away your friends were drinking and dancing. Surely, Mrs. Roberts, surely you had only to let out one scream. One scream would have brought your friends to your aid, would it not?
I did scream several times. I also banged on the door, but nobody could hear me. There was too much noise from the party below.
Yes, the party below. I'd like to question you about the party, and I have a few photographs to show you.
Photographs? My lord, may I ask what photographs my learned friend has in mind?
Mr. Elliot?
My lord, these photographs have been enlarged and were taken at the party by one of the guests. Now, it is, I believe, not without significance that no mention of them has been made by any of the witnesses. I can, if it is deemed necessary, produce the party-goer to testify that these were, in fact, the photographs taken on the night in question.
Well, may I see them?
Certainly, my lord.
Witness. Now then, Mrs. Roberts, were these photographs taken on the evening of...
August the 2nd, my lord?
Yes, yes. During the course of your party?
Yes, they were. A friend of ours, Bob Channing, had a flash camera. I'd forgotten all about them being taken.
Well, evidently. So did everybody else, Mrs. Montgomery. Do you object to these being put in?
No, my lord. In fact, had I known of their existence, I would have produced them in evidence myself.
Well, have you got copies for me and the jury?
Of course, my lord.
Oh.
Exhibit number 8, my lord. Now, Mrs. Roberts, I would like you to look at the photos, please. You'd forgotten they were taken?
Yes, I had.
Now, you'll find that on the back they're numbered 1 to 6. They show, do they not, various moments during the course of your party?
Yes, they do.
Now, would you please look at number 3? Now, on the extreme left of the group, that is the accused, is it not?
Yes, it is.
Well, you look quite happy about the fact that he's giving you a cuddle.
I wouldn't say that he was cuddling me. He just sat beside me and put his arm around my shoulder for the photograph. This was taken 2 hours or so before he raped me.
Exactly so, Mrs. Roberts. Now, would you please look at number 4? Was that one also taken during the early part of the evening?
Yes, they all were.
And would you say that these photographs accurately reflect your feelings towards Peter Watkins at the time they were taken?
I would say they accurately reflect that we were having a party and we were all having a good time.
Yeah, but that was not my question. Are they an accurate reflection of your feelings towards Watkins at the time they were taken?
I didn't have any feelings towards him one way or the other at that time. He's a friend... Rather, he was a friend of Bernard's.
Well, surely the photographs show that you were giving him every encouragement.
Encouragement to what?
To believe that any physical, sexual feelings that he might have towards you were reciprocated.
Oh, does that mean that every time a man puts his arm around me or dances with me, that gives him the right to act like a wild animal and rape me? I gave him no encouragement whatsoever.
Are you sure, Mrs. Roberts?
I am quite sure these are ordinary party shots. You are trying by innuendo to give them a greater significance.
Well, it will be for the jury to decide the significance. It will also be for the jury to consider what significance they should give to the fact that at this party you were not wearing a brassiere. Why were you not wearing one, Mrs. Roberts?
My lord, I have sat patiently while my learned friend tried to attach significance to insignificant photographs, but are we now to have a discourse on brassieres?
My lord, as my learned friend knows, I'm quite entitled to cross-examine the witness as to why she was not wearing a brassiere, or, for that matter, any tights or stockings. And these are factors which go to show the attitude of mind of Mrs. Roberts on the night of the party. And it is my contention that her attitude of mind on that particular evening is of the utmost importance.
Yes, I am inclined to agree with you, Mr. Elliot.
Thank you, my lord. Now, Mrs. Roberts, why was it that the only garment you wore beneath your dress was a pair of panties? No brassiere, no tights or stockings. Now, why was that?
It was the dress I was wearing. If you wear a bra, the straps show at the back. It looks ridiculous with a bra.
Look at the dress a moment, would you please? Thank you. Now, with the aid of the dress, will you please explain to the court what you were saying?
If you wear a bra, the straps show at the back.
And that's the only reason you were not wearing a brassiere?
Of course, what other reason could there be?
Well, to provoke attention, perhaps. Do you not agree that it could be a provocative action?
What, not wearing a bra?
Yes.
Look, last summer everybody was wearing halter-neck dresses. Or T-shirts. Perhaps if I'd worn a different kind of dress, one with a plunging neckline, perhaps you could call that provocative, but that dress covers me up to the neck.
But one would still be aware that you were not wearing a brassiere underneath it.
I suppose so. I hadn't thought about it.
Of course you thought about it. Of course you thought about it. You made a conscious choice. Now, if one is dressed provocatively, one can hardly be surprised if one is provoked, can one?
I do not accept that I was dressed provocatively. That is a full-length dress.
And you wore it with just a pair of panties underneath? Why no stockings or tights?
Because it is a full-length dress. It was a warm evening. It was in summer.
Well, let us leave that, too, to the jury to consider, Mrs. Roberts. Now, I understand that you do not live with your husband. Is that correct?
Yes, we're legally separated.
How long have you lived apart from him?
Nearly 2 years. We have a divorce hearing next month.
Is Bernard Chapman your lover?
I told you before, that's none of your damn business. We aren't on trial.
Yes, Mr. Chapman, I had occasion to warn you before about your outburst when you were giving evidence. I now warn you finally that if you disrupt these proceedings again, I shall find you in contempt of the court. Is that quite clear?
Yes, my lord.
Well, sit down. Yes?
Is Bernard Chapman your lover?
But how is that question relevant?
My dear Mrs. Roberts, look, it is for me to decide on the relevance of a question, and I must also advise you that in a trial of this nature, questions like that are quite proper.
Yes, he is.
Bernard Chapman is your lover.
That's what I said.
And do you take an oral contraceptive?
What?
Are you, to use the common parlance, on the pill?
What's this got to do with what happened?
Mrs. Roberts, would you please answer my questions?
Yes, I am.
Have you ever had an illegitimate child?
No.
Ever had an abortion?
Look, I can't have children. I had a miscarriage when I was living with my husband, and they had to operate, and when it was finished, they said that I could never conceive again.
Now, the child you were carrying, was your husband the father?
Of course he was.
Now, apart from Bernard Chapman, have you had extramarital sex with anyone?
No!
There have been no other lovers?
No.
What about prior to your marriage?
Oh, for God's sake, I've been to bed with 2 men in my life. One was my husband and the other was Bernard.
Aren't you forgetting Peter Watkins?
Oh, really, my lord?
Are you suggesting that she'd been to bed with him before?
No, Lord.
Well, you refer to the alleged rape.
I am, my lord.
Oh, yes, but she has said that she didn't consent to that. Well, now, are you all right, Mrs. Roberts? Would you like us to adjourn for a while?
Thank you, my lord. I am quite well.
Yeah. Mrs. Roberts, I'd like to ask you a few more questions about what took place at your party.
Yes.
You see, I submit that far from being raped, you encouraged the defendant in the belief that you wanted him to go to bed with you.
That isn't true.
I suggest that you instigated what took place.
That isn't true.
And when the group photograph was about to be taken, number 3, did you not say to him, "Come and sit by me, Peter"?
I may have done.
And you then told him to put his arm around you, did you not?
No, I did not say that.
And later during the evening, you went over to where he was sitting, leant over very closely to him and whispered, "I'll see you upstairs in a little while." Did you not?
I didn't say anything like that.
Well, I suggest you did. I suggest there was no attack. No knife, no screams, no blows, and that you went to bed with him quite happily.
I have already described to you exactly how he raped me.
And it was not until you had been caught by your lover, Bernard Chapman, the man you hoped to marry, that you decided to cry rape. Was that not so?
I was not caught. I was found unconscious.
Unconscious or asleep, Mrs. Roberts?
Unconscious.
No, I suggest that your allegations about being raped were invented to cover up the fact that you had been a willing party.
That is not true.
Well, it is self-evident that your lover has a violent temper, is it not?
No, he is not a violent man.
I put it to you, then, rather than admit the truth to Bernard Chapman, you invented this tale of rape. And before you knew it, you were in the police station accusing the defendant. And by that time, it was too late to withdraw your allegations, wasn't it?
There is not one word of truth in that. I was raped by that man. He knows it. And I know it.
Now, you allege it, Mrs. Roberts, you allege it. But can you swear, can you be sure that at no time during the party you did not arouse the defendant, Peter Watkins? Thank you.
My lord, I do not wish to re-examine Mrs. Roberts. Do you have any questions?
Yes, I have. Mrs. Roberts, did you at no time doubt the wisdom of going into a bedroom with a comparative stranger during a party like this?
No.
You're free now, Mrs. Roberts.
Free?
Yes. Go and sit over there.
That is the case for the prosecution, my lord.
The jury in this case is composed of members of the general public. The Queen against Watkins will be concluded tomorrow in the Crown Court. Peter Watkins has been charged with raping Mrs. Joyce Roberts. On the final day of his trial, he's being questioned by his defense counsel.
I would like to come now to the evening of August the 2nd, the night of the party. What time did you arrive?
About 8:30. The invite was for 8, but I always like to let parties get warmed up a bit before I arrive.
And was this one warmed up?
Yes, it was going along quite nicely. Everybody friendly, having a good time.
Now tell me, when you were invited, did the invitation include a young lady?
Yes, Bernard said I could bring somebody, but I told him the particular bird I had in mind was going to be out of town that weekend.
By bird, I take it you mean young woman.
Naturally, Your Honour.
What was his response to that?
He said it didn't matter because he'd got somebody in mind for me.
He did he? Well, having arrived at the party, did you discover just which lady Mr. Chapman had in mind for you?
Yes, it was Jean Peters.
Now, Mr. Chapman, as you've heard, has already testified to a conversation he had with you about Mrs. Roberts. He said you told him that he was a lucky man to have a girl like Joyce Roberts, and that you also said to him, "I wish I had a girl like that. She's very tasty."
Yeah, that's right.
You accept that you did say that to him?
Yes, I did.
Now, he also said that apart from laughing and thanking you for the compliment, that was virtually the end of the conversation. Is this true?
No, it's not. There was a great deal more said than that.
Well, just what else was said?
Well, he said to me, "She's very good in bed, you know."
Would you please repeat that?
Yeah, he said she's very good in bed, you know.
Those were his exact words?
Yeah, those were his words. And then he told me that Joyce fancied me.
What did you take him to mean by that remark?
Well, she wanted to go to bed with me.
Well, could it not have meant that she merely liked you?
Well, where I come from, it couldn't. It can only mean one thing.
But does Mr. Chapman come from where you come from?
Having been told by Chapman that his girlfriend fancied you, or as you took it, wanted to go to bed with you, what did you say?
I said, well, she's your girlfriend, isn't she? That puts her out of bounds. Well, he said that didn't matter. It was all right by him. In fact, he was quite happy about it.
What was your reaction to that?
Well, I'm a man of the world. If he didn't mind, and he was adamant that he didn't, it was all right by me.
And was there any further conversation at that time?
He told me she was a bit kinky in bed.
Well, now, Watkins, I do wish you'd stick to everyday English language.
My lord, by kinky in bed, I think the defendant means that he had been advised that Mrs. Roberts enjoyed a number of sexual aberrations. Is that correct?
Yes, my lord, that's right.
Oh, do let's get on.
Did Chapman elaborate on that?
Yes, he told me that she liked a bit of a fight before making love. She liked to struggle and pretend she didn't want it. But in fact, the more she really struggled, it meant the more she really wanted it.
Did this information surprise you?
Not at all. It takes all sorts, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Was there any further conversation?
No, he just gave me a nod and a wink and then moved off to serve some drinks.
Your host had also planned that you partner Miss Jean Peters during the evening. Now, she's testified that there was an argument between the two of you on the dance floor. Is this true?
Yes, we had words, yeah. She told me to keep my hands to myself when we were dancing.
What was your reaction?
Well, it's like she told you. I said there's plenty more fish in the sea. I wasn't bothered.
Now, returning to Mrs. Roberts, please tell the court of any incidents involving you and Mrs. Roberts during the early part of the evening.
Well, I don't know whether you'd call them incidents, but she was coming on strong at me all evening. I mean, she was being very, very friendly, very warm and affectionate. She asked me to come and sit by her for a photo and to put my arm round her. And she brushed past me a couple of times during the evening, very close, closer than she needed to, pressing her body into me. And later on, she came up to me and said, I'll see you upstairs in a little while.
You're quite sure she said that?
Oh, yes, I'm quite sure.
Now, during the course of the evening, did you tell Mrs. Roberts that you had a personal problem that you wished to discuss with her?
No, that's all lies.
Nothing about seeking her professional advice, about seeking a council flat, anything like that?
No, she's made it all up.
It is positively untrue?
Yes.
Now, Watkins, your fingerprints were found on a steak knife. Now, you've heard it alleged that you threatened Mrs. Roberts with that knife, and at the time of your arrest, you were questioned about the knife by Inspector Mason. Now, he says you told him, I never touched any steak knife, I never threatened her with any knife. Did you say that?
No. What I said was, I don't remember touching any steak knife, and I never threatened her with any knife.
You're quite clear on that?
Absolutely.
Now, since that conversation, a conversation you had in the middle of the night after being pulled from your bed, have you remembered anything about the steak knife?
Yes, I would have remembered at the time if they'd given me a chance. It was during the party, I went into the dining room to get some food. It was all laid out in there, and I wanted to cut some cheese. And there wasn't a knife, so I went to the kitchen and took a knife out of the drawer. Well, that must be the one they've all been going on about.
Now, before I come to what transpired between you and Mrs. Roberts, I would like to deal with the time when you were awakened by the police. Would you tell the court about that, please?
Yeah, it was the middle of the night. I don't know what time it was. I was fast asleep, and there was this tremendous hammering on the door, so I went down and let them in.
By them, you mean Chief Inspector Mason and Sergeant Wilson?
I don't know what the other one was called, but Mason was there. He came screaming in, saying I'd raped Mrs. Roberts. I told him that I hadn't, and then he hit me. He punched me in the stomach. Well, I was so frightened that at first I told them I'd never been anywhere near Joyce Roberts. But eventually I realised I'd got nothing to hide, so I told them the truth, and it's in my statement that was read out earlier.
Thank you. Now, let's return to the party. What else happened there?
I was having a good time. Dancing, drinking. Then later on in the evening, I went upstairs to the bathroom, and when I came out, Joyce was there waiting for me.
Now, this is important. How do you know she was waiting for you?
Oh, she took me by the hand and led me into this little bedroom. Then she locked the door and turned the light out. She led me across to the bed. We got onto it. After a while, she took her clothes off and we made love. Well, when we finished, she was very tired, said she wanted to rest for a while. So I got dressed, and by that time she was fast asleep. So I thought I'd lock the door on my way out so she wouldn't be disturbed, and I went downstairs and joined in the party. And after a little while, I left and went home. Next thing I know, there's the police knocking the front door down.
Now, Watkins, remembering your oath, did you at any time threaten Mrs. Roberts with a knife?
No, I didn't.
Did you at any time hit her?
Of course not.
Did she struggle, try to break free, scream for help?
No, she was very happy about everything that happened.
You're quite sure that she consented to all that took place between the two of you?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Watkins.
Initially, when questioned by the police, you flatly denied having intercourse with Mrs. Roberts. Why did you lie?
Well, I just told you I was frightened.
But if your story's true, you have nothing to fear by telling the truth.
I was only half awake and there were firing questions about.
You've just told the judge and the jury that you were attacked by the chief inspector, that he punched you in the stomach.
Yes, that's right.
So when the chief inspector swore on oath that you were not hit, that in fact you attempted to attack him, I take it you say he's lying.
I'll say he's wrong.
There can be no two ways about it, Watkins. You say he's lying, do you not?
Yes.
Mrs. Roberts has sworn on oath that you raped her at knife point, that you hit her, that you ordered her to strip, that you then used her body, that when she further protested, you held a pillow over her mouth until she was unconscious.
None of that's true.
So, Mrs. Roberts and the chief inspector are lying. And you alone are telling the truth. Is that the way of it?
Yes, it is. Well, they've both got something to hide. I haven't.
We shall see. Now, this steak knife, you claim you took it from a kitchen drawer?
Yes, that's right.
Yet when the police questioned you, you said, I never touched any knife.
No, that's not what I said. I just told my counsel. What I said was, I don't remember touching any steak knife.
Of course. So the first statement sworn on oath by the chief inspector is yet another lie the police are telling about you.
Well, I mean, they may not be telling of a deliberate lie. They might just be mistaken.
Mistaken? I suggest it was you that made the mistake by leaving that knife in the house, or forgetting to wipe your fingerprints from it. I suggest that this story of yours of fetching that knife to cut cheese is a concoction.
No, it's the truth.
Why not ask your hostess for a knife?
She wasn't around at the time.
Why not ask your host for a knife?
He wasn't around either.
Really? Were there any witnesses? Did anyone see you take that knife from the kitchen drawer?
I don't remember.
No. You have described in some detail the various provocative acts of Mrs. Roberts during the earlier part of the evening.
Yeah.
You said she was very warm and affectionate towards you, how she told you to come and sit by her with a photograph, how she told you to put your arm around her, how in fact she behaved in a thoroughly provocative way towards you, pressing close to you and the rest of it. Did her behaviour cause any comment?
Well, not that I heard.
Or did anybody see her behaving in this manner?
I don't know. I suppose they must have done, yeah.
Then doubtless if they did, they will be giving evidence on your behalf. Now, this extraordinary conversation you had with Bernard Chapman, I suggest to you it is a pack of lies.
No, it's not. It's the truth.
He told you the woman he plans to marry wanted to go to bed with you.
Yes.
And that he had no objections if you went to bed with her.
Yes.
And that she was to use your term kinky and like to struggle.
Yeah, that's right.
You've heard Mr. Chapman swearing on oath that he never said these things to you. Is he lying too?
Yes, he is.
So we now have three people, a policeman, Mrs. Roberts, Mr. Chapman, all telling lies about you. You would have the court believe that Mrs. Roberts consented to have sexual intercourse with you.
Yes, that's right, she
Then
did.
why did you lock the door on the outside when you'd finished?
I just told you so she wouldn't be disturbed.
But Mr. Watkins, you locked the door from the outside. Anyone could have come up, unlocked the door and gone in after you left.
Yes, well, I didn't think about that, did I? I was just trying to be thoughtful.
Indeed, you were. By locking the door on the outside, you prevented Mrs. Roberts from getting out until you had a chance to leave the party. It gave you a head start at any rate.
No, that's not how it was.
Well, did anybody see you leave? Did you say goodnight to the man who'd invited you, for instance?
No, he was busy.
Still busy, was he? Too busy to be thanked for his hospitality. Too busy to be thanked, if we're to believe your tale, for lending you Mrs. Roberts' body.
I was tired. I wanted to get home.
I'm sure you did, Watkins. You admitted earlier in the box that you assaulted Jean Peters.
Oh, it wasn't assault. I was just being friendly. Oh, she told me to stop, and I did.
I suggest the only reason you did stop was because it was in public. lots of people around. To use your own parlance, you obviously fancied Miss Peters.
I suppose I did, yeah, what of it?
And having been turned down publicly, you could hardly force yourself upon her, could you?
I don't have to force myself on any woman.
I suggest that the truth is that knowing that Mrs. Roberts was a social worker, you lured her into that room under the pretext of needing professional advice. That you then grabbed her, having first locked the door. That you ordered her at knife point to strip, that you hit her, that you threatened her with her very life, and when she continued to plead for you to stop, you half suffocated her with a pillow.
She said all that because she was caught with her knickers off. It's not true.
I have no further questions.
Yes, Mrs. Montgomery.
My lord, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have observed, as I have, the ordeal Mrs. Roberts underwent in the witness box. By describing it as an ordeal, I intend no criticism of my learned friend. You have heard her questioned about her personal life, her sex life, her morals, if she's had lovers, if she's had abortions. You may have wondered, as I have wondered, if in fact Mrs. Roberts was the accused person. She was not. She is not. Peter Watkins is the accused person, accused of having raped Mrs. Joyce Roberts. Rape is a unique crime for a number of reasons. To demonstrate just how unique the crime of rape is, I will tell you that if a man knocks his wife about, hits her, he is answerable to the law. But if that same man rapes his wife, he is not answerable. No man can be charged with raping his wife. The law assumes that in marriage, a wife, and I quote, hath given up her body to her husband. She has in fact become property, her husband's property. Now, the same attitudes that created that law were also responsible for decreeing that it is perfectly right and proper for the victim in a rape case to be asked the kind of questions that my learned friend put to Mrs. Roberts about her private life. Now, of course, as far as the evidence of Mrs. Roberts, what is at issue is not her honour, not her virtuousness, but her honesty. You will have, I'm sure, observed that I did not ask the accused one question about his character, not one question about his sexual past, not one question about how many lovers he's had, how many illegitimate children he has fathered. There was one reason, and one reason alone, why I did not ask him such a question. I am not allowed to by law. This is yet another factor that makes the crime of rape unique. In all other categories of criminal offence in this country, in every single one, if the accused person or his defence counsel seeks to demonstrate that the character of a witness is bad, then immediately the prosecution is allowed to bring in evidence about the accused person's character. The exception to that rule is a case such as this involving rape. Now, is it not nonsense? Is it not an obscenity that such a situation pertains? Mrs. Roberts has broken no law. To question her in her moral life implies that she has. Watkins, the prosecution contends, has committed one of the most serious crimes that it is possible to commit in this country. A crime which is a direct reflection on his moral character. But I am not allowed by law to question him on his morals. Now, I do not think I put it too highly when I say that I believe Mrs. Roberts was raped twice. Once in that small bedroom, and once here, in this court. Now, the crime of rape is unique for yet another reason, the very nature of the assault. I can think of no other crime that involves such a fundamental abuse of a woman's body. Now, I have dealt with some of the unique aspects of rape. I would like to draw your attention to some of the myths that surround the subject of rape. The first is that every woman secretly desires to be raped. It's a myth given a great deal of credibility by men. You will find it in Shakespeare, you will find it in the poets. Byron in Don Juan declared, "A little still she strove and much repented, and whispering, 'I'll ne'er consent,' consented." Novels, films are full of the myth that all women secretly desire rape, the magic elements of sex and violence. Now, I'm sure every one of the jury knows what I have in mind. The scene between a man and a woman in the midst of a heated argument. The woman is invariably beautiful, invariably strong-willed. She gives the man a piece of her mind and turns to storm away. He catches hold of her and pulls her into his arms. He kisses her. She struggles. This is usually depicted by showing her hands beating on his back. She stops struggling. She succumbs and pulls him over closer to her. Fade out. Now, it is absurdities like that that help to perpetuate the myth that every woman secretly desires to be raped. There is another myth, that a man cannot help himself, that a short skirt, or as in this case, a woman wearing a dress but not wearing a bra, was enough to provoke a man to rape, and that this cannot really be rape because, after all, wasn't she leading him on? Wasn't she asking for trouble? Unless she has every single inch of her flesh covered, she's guilty of provocation. Nonsense. Utter nonsense. It is not merely time that we change some of the laws concerning rape. It is time that men attained maturity by realizing that when a woman says no, she just might really mean it. Now, you have seen in evidence a steak knife bearing the fingerprints of Watkins. He says he took that knife to cut cheese. Now, if the allegation of rape is a lie, a wicked fabrication, how then did Mrs. Roberts know that Watkins had handled such a knife? How could she know such a thing, unless in fact she had been raped while that very knife was held at her throat?
Please, my Lord, members of the jury, I would like to pay tribute to the eloquence of my learned friend. I found her remarks concerning the concept of rape in this country both moving and informative. But the issue for you to consider, ladies and gentlemen, is not the myth that surrounds rape. Neither should you concern yourselves whether the law governing the crime of rape and the trial procedures that surround that law are in need of change. You're solely concerned with arriving at a verdict based upon the evidence. Now, it is not for the defendant to establish his innocence. It is for the prosecution to satisfy you beyond doubt of his guilt. And I submit that they've failed to do so. Now, the only important conflict of evidence is between just two witnesses. On the one hand, Peter Watkins, and on the other, Joyce Roberts. Now, if you believe that Joyce Roberts did consent to have sexual intercourse, and I submit that she did fully consent, then you must acquit this young man. But the law goes further than that. The law says that if Watkins honestly believed that Mrs. Roberts consented, then likewise, you must acquit him. Even more. The law says that his belief does not have to be based on reasonable grounds. If the defendant honestly held the belief that Mrs. Roberts consented, even if that belief was based on unreasonable grounds, then it is your duty to acquit him. Members of the jury, human nature is full of interesting quirks. Now, Mrs. Roberts would not be the first woman who, having been found in compromising circumstances, sought to shift all guilt and blame onto the shoulders of the man she'd gone to bed with. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, in my submission, the prosecution have failed to prove beyond doubt that the defendant Watkins is guilty of rape. I thank you. Thank you, my lord.
Members of the jury, you must be guided by me as to the law, but you are the sole judges on matters of fact. Now, the act under which the accused is charged doesn't define rape, but it has been held at common law to consist of the unlawful sexual intercourse with a woman, without her consent, by force, fear, or fraud. Now, the accused doesn't deny that he had sexual intercourse with Mrs. Roberts, but his defense is that she consented. Oh, it isn't for the defense to prove that she consented. It is for the prosecution to prove that she did not. So that is the question you have to resolve. Have the prosecution proved that to your entire satisfaction? Now, Mr. Elliot, learned counsel for the defense, when he was talking to you just now, mentioned a ruling which has come down from the House of Lords. And that ruling is that if a man honestly holds the belief that a woman has consented to sexual intercourse, no matter how unreasonable the grounds for that belief, then he must be acquitted. There's been a lot of controversy about that ruling, and that controversy mustn't concern you here. But I say to you that, in my view, the key word in that ruling is honestly. A man must honestly hold that belief. And in certain cases, that could be a very powerful defense. But I believe that it only pertains where there is no real conflict of evidence between the man and the woman concerned. Now, here there is a very real conflict of evidence. And if you believe that Watkins did indeed threaten Mrs. Roberts with a knife, then the defense of honest belief is not open to him, and you will find him guilty. Equally, if you believe Watkins, that there was no knife involved, that he didn't threaten Mrs. Roberts or attack her, that he didn't try to stifle her protestations with a pillow, then you will acquit. Will you now please retire? Elect a foreman and consider your verdict.
My lord, may we have all the exhibits?
Yes, you may.
And do you find the defendant, Peter Watkins, guilty or not guilty of the charge of rape?
Guilty.
Is that the verdict of you all?
Yes.
Peter Watkins was sentenced to 6 months imprisonment. The jury in this case was composed of members of the general public. Our cameras will return to bring you another leading case in the Crown Court.